Welcome to a new episode of Let's Turn the Tide podcast by Veolia Near and Middle East. Today, we are launching a special series, Voices of COP, with an exceptional guest, Estelle Brachlianoff. She is the CEO of Veolia, the world's leading environmental services company. Committed, determined, optimistic are just few words to describe her. She is at the forefront of the ecological transformation, working towards decarbonization, depollution, and resource regeneration. Today, she will share with us the role of Veolia and more broadly the private sector in the fight against climate change, as well as her insights on COP. Estelle Brachlianoff, a warm welcome on this special podcast series, Voices of COP on Let's Turn the Tide. So, Estelle, you are the CEO of Veolia, one of the major actors in the ecological transformation. How do you perceive the responsibility and the role of the private sector in driving climate action and transitioning in low-carbon future?
So I guess we don't have the choice but to put everybody around the table to make it happen. Everybody meaning, of course, the governments and even at international level, as well as, of course, the citizens, but companies have a major role to play into that. Of course, in Veolia, we are in a very peculiar place because we are, of course, a company. I run a large company. But our business and actually our purpose is actually to help our customer with their ecological transformation, meaning we help cities and industries to decarbonize, to depollute, and to regenerate resources. So it puts us in a very unique place, in a way, I wouldn't say organizing, but catalyzing those partnerships to make things happen and to make things happen fast. And we've conveyed a survey across the globe with 25,000 people in 25 countries, a few of them in the Middle East. And actually, the answer is very clear. The populations everywhere have understood there is a problem, and they ask us, the guys and daisies, to decide, if you want, to act now. And they've understood that the cost of inaction is higher than the cost of acting now. So I think it's a call for action, and companies like Veolia have a very big role to play into this.
Indeed. And can you share, please, with us some specific examples of projects, initiatives that Veolia has implemented to effectively reduce greenhouse gas emissions and promote sustainable resources management?
So I will pick I would have many examples. We're present in all continents and in 44 countries, but let me pick a few examples in the Middle East, nearer to the COP. I guess I would start with one around water, because as you know, climate change has a big impact on water. You know, there is too much or too little water, or not at the right time or not at the right place during the different seasons in the year. So it's a very big question for adaptation to climate change. I'm very proud of the solution we've developed in Jordania, and actually in Samha, where in this wastewater treatment plant, we've managed not just to clean the water to put it back into nature, if you want, but actually to reuse it. And actually for agricultural usage. And of course, you don't do it by chance. You know, there is a lot of, technology involved. And now, thanks to this wastewater treatment plant in Samha, we are able to provide 25% of the agricultural water in the whole country of Jordania. So that's massive. That's a good example, I think. Another one will be more related to reducing carbon emission and, in a way, the decarbonizing element of what Veolia does. And I will put Sharjah maybe as a nice example, where basically we are operating an energy from waste, which is producing electricity from another source than the usual one. And actually, it reduces by almost 500,000 tons of carbon every year, compared to all the alternative sources of energy you can think of. So two great examples, I think, nearer to where you are today.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm in Dubai right now, and it's fantastic to see, Veolia's measurable and tangible impact in the Middle East. Now, coming to COP. So, in 2015, the Paris Agreement marked a major step in the fight against climate change because finally, countries came together and committed to limit the global warming to 1.5 degrees. So, what, in your view, are the main challenges and opportunities for the private sector to align to this goal?
What I just said as an intro, which is, the population, and we've measured it, now understand there is a problem and something to do, and they want to put things into action. That's probably largely the result of the COPs in the last few years, if not decades. Because in a way, the realization moment, it's done now, and we are into action. And I think that would be the main takeaway for me. We need to put things into action, and we need to speed up and accelerate. And companies, of course, are very much more into action. So I think there are a lot of things we can do now.
Absolutely, I totally agree with you. And COP28 is just around the corner. Like in a couple of weeks, it's going to happen here in Dubai. So I remember, earlier this year at the Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week, Laurent Fabius, the French former COP21 president, saying that COP28 could be a Paris moment, referring to the Paris Agreement that we talked about earlier. So I want to ask you, what do you think has the potential to make it a significant turning point or a Paris moment in the fight against climate change?
I could think of a lot of things, but I will take one, which is the potential creation of a scope 4 to measure carbon reduction. Let me explain what I have in mind. As you know, companies do react against what's measured. What we always think in a company is like what doesn't get measured doesn't get acted upon. And I think that is a very important driver. The problem we have with the ESG ratings today is that they only measure scope 1, 2, 3, so in a way your emissions, not the trajectory, so not the reduction of those emissions in a way, and the intensity of the effort to erase carbon or to avoid carbon. That's why I think if we could have a scope 4, which is about not only the green, but the greening, if you want, I think that would be a very, very important step in the right direction, because if you can measure it, then it's a right way to allocate, resource, including financial one, and to accelerate, which is the key word for me. I think you've understood that.
Absolutely, and I love this idea of a scope 4.
We really have a coalition of a few stakeholders who really are keen on delivering this measurement about the effort, but the reality of them. So I think, if we can gather a coalition which is large enough, we can make a difference, certainly.
Absolutely. And you are not talking, you are taking action. So Estelle, you're our very first guest on this special series, Voices of COP. So I want to ask you, do you have a message that you would like to share with our future guests?
Fighting spirit with optimism. There is already a lot we've done in the last few years and decades. There is still a lot to do. We need to multiply the good examples, and we need to speed up. And, if you have a coalition of willing people around that, I think we can really make a big difference.
I totally agree. I really look forward, Estelle, to meeting you in person here in Dubai. And I really thank you for your time and your insights on COP and the amazing work that Veolia is doing around the world.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Estelle. I really want to thank Estelle Brachlianoff for her time and valuable insights. It was an honor to have her today on Let's Turn the Tide podcast. Now stay with us, because we have more fantastic guests lined up for you on this special series, Voices of COP. So please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Veolia Near and Middle East, and search for Let's Turn the Tide on your favorite podcast platform. Stay tuned for our upcoming episodes.